When working with a form, you'll be provided with a screenshot of the form view. This is where you can see the records from the table on which this form was based. This record is about Brady, part of the community group. When making changes, however, you'll work in design view most of the time. Here, you don't see the records, but rather just the field names, like contributor and group instead of Brady and community. Don't ever make changes to the field names because then it won't be linked to the record anymore. I prefer switching off this grid when I work. You can do this from the Arrange tab, under Size and Space, Grid. A form has 3 sections: a header, a detail section, and a footer. In the form view, you'll see the detail section expands to fit your screen. If you would like to add something to the footer, you need to expand it. Hover your cursor over the bottom edge until you get the 2-headed arrow, and then you can drag to expand it. You can do the same thing to resize your form as a whole. Let's look at our final product. The 2 main types of controls that you will be using are labels and text boxes. You can use the property sheet if you're unsure which type of control you are working with. Let's go to the design view and switch on property sheet. When you click the control, the property sheet shows you what selection type you have. The labels stay constant. They contain things like headings, descriptions, or comments. When you are in design view, you see all the controls in visible borders, but in form view, the borders are transparent. A text box can refer to a field, or it can contain functions such as the date. Note what the text box looks like in design view. This one says contributor, this one shows a date function. When we look at the form view, we see the result of that function and the contents of that field. When you insert a text box for the first time, it automatically provides a label as well. In forms, most of the time you simply need to add a text description, and you would therefore use a label. We need to change this form to look like the final one. Let's get started. First, we need to apply a color to each of the sections. Click in the section, go to the Format tab, and use your paint bucket. We'll start with the header. Click on the label that you want to change. Resize it. Then click again to edit the text. Now we can center the text inside the control and then move the control to the middle of this section. Now change the text color, Format tab, Font color, and make it bold. To resize the form header, just click and drag at the top of the detail section. To add the picture, we go to the Design tab, Image, click and drag, and select your picture. This Insert Image button doesn't always pick up all types of images, so I prefer using the one under Controls. Now let's start with the detail section. First, I'll change the font color of all the labels before we start moving things around. To select all the labels, you can just click and drag over it and then change the font color. You'll see that all the text boxes should be the same length. Select all of them except the tick boxes, go to the Arrange tab, Size and Space, and size to the narrowest. Now we can move Time to Transport to the right. To be sure they align, use the Align command. The contributor label and text box looks different. I'll start by creating space below the contributor control. You'll see if you move a control with a four-headed arrow on the orange border, both the label and the text box move together. If you would like to move them separately, you need to hover your cursor over the grey box before you move it. Now I'll just resize the label to be the size of the text box. And align them all to the left. Then change the label's fill and make the text bold. There is one more snag you might encounter when you want to move controls around. Sometimes when you try to move a control, you'll see they are somehow grouped together. Do you see the dotted line? This is actually in a stacked table format. To be able to move these controls individually, select the whole group and then on the Arrange tab, click Remove Layout. To add a border, we'll use the Rectangle tool. On the Design tab, in the Controls group, choose Rectangle and draw it around the controls. Now we need to change the border color and thickness as well as add a fill color. We do this on the Format tab. Select the shape and then under Shape Outline, choose the shape color and the line thickness. To add a fill color, use Shape Fill and then send the rectangle to the back on the Arrange tab. To add the line in between, we use a similar process. When you click and drag, if you see the line, it's actually skew. So just drag straight down. Now change the color, the line thickness, and in this case, the line type as well. We need to add a note to the checkboxes. We'll use a label for this. Click and drag and type the text. Now do the formatting. Change the text size, font color, apply italics, and then resize the label. Note the different alignment of the text boxes on this side. They all need to be left aligned. In this case, if you try to select them all, you actually end up moving the rectangle instead. So this time use Shift and click. and then change the alignment. Do you see how the edges of the text boxes in the example looks different, like they have some depth? This is a special effect. Select all of them, right-click on one of them, and then choose the required special effect. Lastly, we just need to add a date to the footer. It gets automatically inserted in the header, so then you just need to move it down to the footer. If you want to change the format, you can change that on the Format tab or on the Property sheet.